question though, and the thing about me speaking is that I'm like super energetic. I'm like waving my hands everywhere, I'm yelling. So in order for you guys to be engaged, you can respond, whatever, however you want to respond to me. So I'm gonna ask some questions tonight, and I need you guys to answer. Is that okay? Yeah. Alright, we'll do that. Okay, cool. So the first question is this: has anyone ever shared a room with like their sibling? Ever shared a room? Okay, we're gonna be a little bit more bold. Is anyone still sharing a room? Be honest. Yeah. That's okay. Thank you for being honest. I'm proud of you. I shared a room with my brother Zach, all the way up until I think it was like junior year of high school. So I understand the pain of sharing a room. See, here's some issues oftentimes with sharing a room. Let's say you wake up and you like to listen to hip hop, but your brother likes to listen to country music. Country music is terrible. Just kidding. That's actually not good. But we're gonna keep moving on. Maybe your brother likes to read and you don't like to read, so he has the lamp on at night and you are tired and annoyed that the lamp is on and you want to go to sleep. That's a very detailed example because that happened in my own life. Actually, how this started was this. So there's a random fall night, and I get in bed and I turn over and I'm trying to go to sleep, you know? Then I hear the door. My brother walks in and has the nerve, the audacity to turn on the lamp. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know, I'm not mad. He's just getting ready for bed. You know, not a big deal. And then the light doesn't go off. And he sits down, and I look over, and he has this stupid Harry Potter book that he picks up and starts reading. I'm like, okay, I'll give it 15 minutes. You know, he's just reading a couple pages before bed. But an hour passes, and he's still reading. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I turn over, and I'm a very patient person, you know. So I turn over, and I'm like, hey, Zach. He's like, yes. I'm like, do you mind to maybe turn off the light? I'm trying to go to bed, you know, early morning. He's like, yeah, totally. But he's like, no. I was like, okay, that's fine. Turn back over, try to go to bed, you know. But my eyes are shut, but it's not completely dark. You know why? Because the lamp's still on. So I turn over again, and I'm playing. He's like, Zach, do you mind turning off the lamp, please? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, one more time. You know, I'm a patient person, you know? So I'm like, Zach, do you mind turning off the lamp? And he's like, and he doesn't even respond this time. He doesn't even respond. So I get up, and my parents are still awake at this point. It's like 9:30 at night, because I'm a good student. I like to go to bed early, okay? So I go into my bedroom, my parents' bedroom, and I'm like, Dad, Mom, Zach won't turn off the light, and I have an issue with this, because I'm trying to go to bed. And I knew that they would agree with me, you know? So I'm like, I'm waiting for their response, and the dad's like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, it's fine? Fine for you? Like, you're not sleeping with this guy, you know? And I'm mad. And needless to say, that night, I didn't go to bed because the lamp was on. I was just so mad. I think all of us maybe have some example of something like, when I grow up, I want my own something. For me in high school, is when I grow up, I want my own room. For you, it might be, man, I want my own car. Does anyone have a car? Like, their own car? A couple people. Yeah, so for everyone else in here, you're like, I can't wait until my parents don't have to drive me to school every day. That would be exciting. Or maybe for some of us, it's, I can't wait to have my own dorm room. Or I can't wait to go on my own vacation with friends instead of with my family. I think we all have something like, man, I can't wait to call this thing my own. And oftentimes, one of those things, since we're in church and since we're talking about Jesus, is I can't wait to have a faith of my own. But oftentimes, I don't know if you realize this, but building a faith of your own requires you to not do it alone. Building a faith of your own requires you to not do it alone. So I have another story. I like telling stories. Is that okay? Can I tell stories? I like to tell stories all the time. So freshman year, I'm a part of marching band. Anyone in marching band? Yeah, cool. I hated it. So I'm in marching band. We lost every single game that season. I'm playing trumpet in the rain half the time. I'm like, why does everyone actually do this? So if you do it, like, I'm proud of you. You're persistent. I gave up after the first year. But needless to say, my freshman year, I was in marching band. And see, being a freshman, oftentimes your identity is not your name, Vayda. Your name is freshman. Anyone who's a freshman in here? Yeah, I was literally just called freshman all the time. I'm like, man, I can't wait to be a sophomore just so that I can not be called freshman anymore. So I'm sitting on the bus, right, going to an away game, and this guy named Daniel Pratt sits next to me. This guy's pretty cool. I mean, he plays the baritone. I'm like, okay, I'm glad he's sitting next to me, you know. So we try to have a conversation, and then he has a water bottle, right? And he's like, and he thinks he's really cool, okay? He's like, Jake, well, it's actually not water that's in here right now. this tequila. I'm like, why are you taking tequila to a game? This is terrible. I'm like, but I didn't tell anyone because I'm a freshman. I don't know what to do. And this guy was super cocky and everyone liked him, but he was doing really terrible things. But it was like that fake cockiness. You know, they were like, you're not actually confident. I think you just might be insecure. So I was Daniel Pratt. And I remember thinking, I'm going to stay away from him. Sophomore year, junior year goes by. And I'm like, where did Daniel Pratt go? Like, I felt like he just flew off the face of the earth. I didn't know where he went. And then my senior year, I ended up going to this youth group. Something very similar like this. For the first time, I'm walking up with my friends, and I see this guy at the door. I'm like, is that Daniel Pratt? Like, what the heck? And this guy was no longer like this fake cockiness. It was like this confidence. And he was smiling, and I don't think he had tequila in his water bottle anymore, so that was nice. But I ended up talking to him, and his life was totally transformed by Jesus. And I was like, what the heck happened to you? And as we were driving back, because he gave me rides home from youth group often, because I didn't have my own car yet either, he would often talk to me about Jesus and how Jesus transformed his life. And it was almost just like this, man, I don't know what faith you have, but it's definitely your own faith. Like, it's not your parents' faith, it's not your friend's faith, this is your faith. How do I have your type of faith? And I was inspired by him. He was such a positive influence in my life. And I don't know about you, but I think probably a lot of you guys have maybe one person in your life that's like, man, this person inspires me. Okay, think about that one person. Ready? Think about that. Okay, yell it out in 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's so cute. Yes. Okay, so a lot of people in this room that you are inspired by. Okay, so the question tonight is this. How do we surround ourselves with positive influences? How do we surround ourselves with friends that actually inspire us, like Daniel Pratt later on in the years, instead of someone that might distract us, like Daniel Pratt who has tequila in his water bottle? Okay, so to answer this question, guess where we have to go? The Bible! Yes, the Bible! See, I used to always go on YouTube. I used to always go on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook to find answers for things, but now I actually go to the Bible on a regular basis. So what does the Bible say about positive influences? I'm going to shock and approach this and go through 3 specific verses that I think tell us something specific about what it means to have positive influences. So the first one will be on the screen. And it's from this book of Proverbs, which is short, just recommendations of how to live life. Of course, this was made 1,000 years ago or so, more than that, but it's still as relevant today. So it says this: walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fool suffers harm. I mean, this is pretty common sense, right? I mean, if you walk with people who are going in the same direction that you're going, you're probably going to get there. If you walk with people who are not going in your direction, you probably won't get to where you want to be. So walk with those people who are doing the things that you want to do, who are trying to go after the same dreams that you have. And don't hang out with the people who might not be doing those things, who might be running after being cool, being popular, waiting homecoming king, homecoming queen. Maybe you should stay away from those people. Now, Jesus loved everybody, yeah? I mean, that would be sad if he was like, yes, everybody but you. No, so Jesus loved everybody. But he didn't hang out with everybody. So you have to pick those influences in your life that know that, man, this person is going to get me to where I want to be. And try to stay away from those who, well, maybe are not that. So now we're going to go to several books in the Bible forward and go to this book called 1 Corinthians. Now, Corinth was a church. Now, Paul was a person that wrote letters to this church. The issue with this church was they were trying to change. They were trying to do good in the world and be that person they always wanted to be as a church. But there was negative influences around them, like the government and other people, that were making them do things that they didn't want to do. So Paul wrote this to them. It says this: do not be misled. See, bad company, well, it will corrupt good character. And automatically I think of, someone, you probably already think of someone in your own life. You're like, oh man, yeah, they were on the right track, but then they started hanging out with that person. Well, and all of a sudden they started doing things that they weren't characteristically doing before. And not only that, but their grades went down and they're not hanging out with anyone positive anymore. They're just hanging out with people who are chasing things that they shouldn't be chasing. So I have my own story about this, actually. And I called my sister, my little sister, and I asked her if I could say it, and she said yes. So I'm going to share part of her story. After freshman year, my sophomore year, I was just happy I wasn't a freshman anymore. What happens when you're, anyone sophomore here? Anyone sophomores? Yeah. Okay, so what happens when you're a sophomore is this. You walk into school and you're like, oh, I'm not a freshman anymore. Oh, I'm kind of feeling good about myself. And then you get a little swagger to yourself, you're finding your own personality. You're like, oh, I could be that person that I used to look up to freshman year. So you start like walking down the hallway, like you own the place, you're like, oh, this is me now, I got this place, I own this place. You don't, probably not yelling that kind of stuff, I did. So sophomore year, I started being like, man, I could be that person I used to look up to my freshman year. I started doing the things that I probably shouldn't have been doing, hanging out with people that I probably shouldn't have hung out with, wearing the clothes that the cool people wore, walking the way that the cool people walked, and all of a sudden I found myself in places that I didn't want to be. Junior year, I started to try to get a little bit better, to try to turn the direction, started hanging out with more positive influences. The issue, though, was that my sister, I was a junior and my sister was a sophomore. So she was going through the same cycle that I did my sophomore year, except for she did some other things that she's not really proud of either. She started lying to my parents, saying that she was going to be somewhere with certain people, except for she was in another place with other people. She started breaking curfew, but oftentimes she wouldn't break curfew. She would like stay in the house and then sneak out of the house late at night. And she started hanging out, dating this guy named Io. He was a senior, she was a sophomore. And he was just a terrible influence on her. She had dreams of all of these really cool things in her high school experience. Except for what started happening was she started doing drugs with him, smoking weed, alcohol, partying. And then I remember one day I was in school, in math class. I remember where it was exactly. And one of my friends was like, oh, did you hear what your sister did last Friday? I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, I want to hear about my sister from you instead of her. Like, this is not fun. And that happened for a good 6 months of my junior year, her sophomore year. It was all the whole entire fall semester. Just hearing rumors about what my sister did the past Friday night. And then one day, my dad got a call late at night. It was like 1 or 2 a.m. And we thought Bryn was inside sleeping. But apparently she was in jail. And the police called and was like, your sister or your daughter is in jail, you need to come and get her. So my dad drives all the way to pick her up, and then picks her up, and the next day, my parents sit down with Bryn, and they're like, just share everything. Like, I know you've been sneaking around, I know you've been doing things that you shouldn't be doing, just tell me everything. And she literally just spills everything of how she lost her virginity, how she did drugs the first time, and alcohol. Basically, you name it, she did it. And it was all because of one person. Isn't that crazy how that works? It could take one negative influence that totally derails you and distracts you from the person that you want to be to the person that that person wants you to be. So, it's also, I want to make this quick note too, that when you start hanging out with negative people, that the people in your own life, like your family and your friends, get affected by your decisions too. I, as her brother, got affected by her decisions. So it doesn't just affect you when you start doing things that you shouldn't be doing. It derails your own life, but it actually can derail the people that love you and their lives as well. So the last verse is a really, really interesting verse that I actually love. And it's a verse that we all talk about. Like, this is the prototypical, stereotypical verse when we talk about friendship. Now, it goes like this. It's Proverbs. If we change the screen, it says this: iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So I have an example. It was funny. Today, like, I brought this big knife. I'm like, this is dangerous. Like, I shouldn't be, like, waving around with this thing. So I was like, when I brought it in, I was, like, trying to hide it and everything. And I also brought this thing right here. So this is something that sharpens knives. Now, this is iron, right? This is iron. And in order to make this, good Lord, can someone hold this mic real quick? Preston, come up here. I promise I'm not going to do anything crazy. This is Preston, everybody. Okay, so hold this. Okay, so just Yeah, right here. Okay, so this is iron, and in here are two other pieces of iron that are sharper than this one. So what happens, if you want this knife to be the best knife that it could be, right? The most sharpest knife that you've ever seen in your life, what you need to do is put this and insert this right here in between here. You engage this with the other iron, and it sharpens it. Over time, you just keep doing this. Over. As you can see, I don't do this very often, so I don't know what I'm doing. So this is what you do. You sharpen it like this. And over time, it becomes the best knife that this could be. The best steel that it could be. Because it's engaging with other steel that's sharper than it. Thank you, Preston. I want to give a round of applause for Preston. The same works with your life. The same works with your life. If you are spending time with people who are going the same direction than you are, who might be even sharper than you, who might maybe even love Jesus a little bit more radically than you, who talk about Jesus a little bit more than you, guess what's going to happen? As iron sharpens iron, so one person will sharpen another. So my plea basically today is this. Start hanging out with positive influences. We're going to go to how in a second. But what ended up happening is after I read this verse and after I visualized, man, what does this actually mean in my life? What started happening was in the spring semester, so that fall, all that stuff just went down, right? Down the drain. Me and my sister got together and we're like, okay, we don't want to be derailed anymore. We want to have a faith of our own. So how do we do this? Well, we can't build it alone. We can't build our faith alone. So what we did was we started a growth group. See, we didn't have a church that did it, and we realized, oh man, there's a bunch of Christians in our school that don't hang out with each other. That they know of each other, but they don't really spend time with each other. So every Thursday at 5:30, we said, okay, we're meeting at my house, anyone can come. The first day was probably just Brennan, me, and maybe a couple other people. And then we grew all the way up to 17 people, and it went fluctuating from 14 to 10, but it didn't matter how many people went. It was just the fact of me and Brennan realizing we need this group. Like, I can't decide, oh man, I don't really want to do this group anymore. I'm like, I'm going to do bad things if I don't have positive influences in my own life. So week in and week out, we started attending this group and leading this group essentially. And what started happening is we hung out with other Jesus followers, and we started talking about Jesus a little bit more. We stopped hanging out as much with the negative influences and surrounded ourselves with the people that were going in the same direction that we were going. And all of a sudden, this kind of confidence came back to us of, oh my gosh, like I have bigger dreams than going to that party. Like I'd rather not derail my life by drinking that alcohol or going out with that guy or that girl. We're like, oh my gosh, we see that life is so much more than just trying to be cool, trying to be popular. And this confidence came back to us slowly but surely. And what ended up happening is I called my sister today. I was like, hey, Brent, can I share your story? And she's like, yeah, as long as you tell the last part. I was like, okay. 3 weeks ago, my sister, who's a senior now in college, stood up in front of her whole entire college, like the university, thousands of people, and actually gave her testimony, gave her story, talked about IO and the things that they did, and then talked about how she was redeemed because of a growth group. Because she started hanging out with people that she knew was going in the same direction. And she said it wasn't really her choice. She had to. She realized in order to live my life and the life I want to live, I need to be hanging out with other people that are doing the exact same thing. So the bottom line today is this. If you want a faith of your own, you can't build it alone. I mean, learn from my story, but learn from Brent's story too. And I think maybe there's a lot of people in this room who are right in the middle of Brent's story. Who are like, I'm trapped right now. I don't know what to do. I'm hanging out with people that I don't really want to hang out with, but I just find myself doing it. So I want to give those people, and also the people that said, man, I'm a freshman or I'm a sophomore, and I've seen where my friends go, and I don't want to go to those places. How do I not do those things? How do I actually surround myself with these positive influences? So I want to give three very practical things that we can do to help us not dive into that kind of lifestyle. So the first one is this, if you want to go to the first one. It's 3 D letters. The first one is distance yourself from bad influences. In order to distance yourself, you need to identify who those people are. I would say write those people down, but don't do that because then people will be like, oh, really? Yikes. So don't write them down now. But maybe tonight, in your bed, man, like, okay, these 3 people aren't living the life that I want to live. So if you want to write this down in your notes right now, open your notes and say, number 1, I want to distance myself from those negative influences. And that's what Bryn started doing. She named them. She's like, well, specifically Io. I cannot be hanging out with Io. This is a toxic relationship, and this is not the person that I want to be. So whatever I do, I'm going to avoid and distance myself from this person. Whether that be blocking their phone number, whether that be unfollowing them on Instagram, both of their accounts, the negative one, and also the public one. Whatever that means, unfollow them from every social media. And then second is this, develop a relationship with someone who is a good influence. Just start with one person. Like, just start with one Daniel Pratt in his latter years rather than in freshman year. Start hanging out with one person that's going in the same direction that you're going. That's saying, hey, I'm going to live out the faith of my own, and it's not going to be my parents, it's going to be my own. So find that one person and start hanging out with that person. Do whatever you can to spend more time with that person instead of the negative influence. And thirdly, dive into a growth group. I had to start my own in high school. And that was hard. I didn't know what to do, and I had to start my own. Good news for you, you don't have to start your own growth groups. Good news for you, you don't have to create those environments. My job is to create spaces and where you can just go to somewhere, you don't have to prep anything, you don't have to do anything, you just go to a place that has a bunch of these positive influences. And I'm talking about positive things. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is get your butt there every single week, week in and week out, and attend that thing. If I were you, if I was in high school, which I was my junior, senior year, I wouldn't make it a choice. I would just be like, I have to be there. Because I know I could be that person that's involved in negative things. So the third thing is dive into a growth group. So that's about it. We have 5 minutes left to start, so I'm going to invite Tim back.